and she did apologize for, like, saying those things, and she didn't mean to hurt me. She was just, I don't know, like, making a comment on it, and that she was sorry, but she still kind of stood by that, yeah, but your hair would have looked better longer. So it's still, like, even if she'd apologize for something, she'd still kind of, like, go back to what she originally said, like, her same, like, platform. And when that did happen, like, when she'd, like, make me cry about something, she would say, like, I know how you feel, because, like, my mother would do this to me when I was growing up, and, like, it always made me just as upset, but she still, like, felt the need that she had to do that to, like, me and my sister, and it's very upsetting.
Yeah, it sounds very upsetting, especially, like we said, at a young age, hearing your mother, who's a very influential person in your life, you know, say such critical and harsh things. You had mentioned that it is a very influential time in your life. So when she said these things, even though they hurt you, you kind of internalized them and even acted upon them because it made sense. What she was saying made sense. So how does, you know, what she's saying, knowing that, because you kind of giggle when you say some of the things, kind of, it's almost like a nervous laugh when you're repeating her, I guess you could call them theories. What do you think of those theories now, now that you're older?
When I, like, repeat them back to somebody else and saying them, it's almost, like, ridiculous how that somebody would, like, say that, especially to such a young child, to just, like, give them that impression and, like, make them try to think that way, and I don't know, it's almost funny how she would say that.
Okay, and why do you think it's funny? What kind of effect has it had on you and on your relationship with her currently?
Well, I feel like now it's not as bad, but I feel like I have lived up to some of her expectations, even though they're not all there yet, but, like, I don't know, I feel like it has affected how I view people, how I view myself. Like, I still, like, don't feel like I'm good enough, and I still don't feel like I look pretty enough, and, like, I don't know, it has affected me now, but it's almost like it's gone from her telling me it to me telling myself it, because it's just, like, how I've always thought.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's understandable. You're listening to your mother, who's someone who you're supposed to look up to and learn from. And it's hard to hear such critical, harsh things from her. Even as you're talking about it, you know, you're, like, fidgeting you're kind of giggling, and your legs shaking a little bit. It kind of does it make you anxious? Kind of thinking about it, or you know, making it play in your mind again?
It does a little bit, and it's hard to, like, talk to somebody about it, because it's something that, like, only me and my sister knew about for such a long time, because it was just kind of, like, between us, and that, like, it didn't seem weird, because that was just how I was raised. That's what I was told growing up. Like, it didn't seem like that was something weird or different, because it was the only thing I knew.
Right. Well, you know, your mom's actions are almost the prime example of this kind of conflict, in that she is providing a platform for kind of negative emotions. There's a little bit of a conflict because you're trying to listen to your mom, but at the same time, you know, you're upset by it, and it's creating, like, kind of confusion. It's like, okay, well, am I good enough, or am I supposed to listen to my mom? There's just I feel like there's a lot of things going on in your head. And so, you know, maybe if you look at it from a different perspective, your mom was encouraging you. You know, she wasn't necessarily trying to raise you with low self-esteem or make you self-conscious. Maybe she was trying to get you to strive to do better things, and although she was there to support you, she may have not necessarily done it in the best of ways. She had good intentions. Do you think that could have been a possibility?
I do think that could have been a possibility, and she said that she was raised the same way, and that her mother would say that, so I feel like she just kind of, like, did it against me, even though she, like, knew that it hurt, but I think she was just trying to help and, like, trying to make me feel better about myself or be more confident in the long run.
Right. So, I mean, it's easy to say that now. Now looking back on it, it's always easier, right? But so maybe if you put yourself into her perspective and kind of think, okay, this is my daughter and I want her to always strive for more and reach for better things. You know, she wasn't necessarily saying, oh, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're never going to get there, but she was saying, look at the world and, like, look how much you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe if you confronted her about, because you said even though it was more, she used to do this more when you were younger, it still kind of happens every now and then.
Yeah.
Have you ever said anything to her? Have you ever confronted her about how what she says affects the way you think about yourself?
Well, I haven't really so much anymore. Like, I would be really upset when I was younger, but now I've just kind of been like, oh, it's just the way it is. And my sister and I talk about it more. Like, I'll just talk to her about it. I'll be like, Mom, call me fat again, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, like, so we just talk about it, but I don't really confront her about it.
Do you think that maybe letting her know how she makes you feel would kind of bridge the gap, like the communication gap? I feel like a lot of times when there isn't clear communication between two people, that's when conflicts arise, because she thinks she's doing something good by telling you these things, but you think that she's, you know, bringing you down. So maybe if you guys are able to take each other's perspectives, but in order to do so, you have to know what each other's perspectives are. So would you ever consider, you know, confronting her next time she says something, not in a very direct way, but maybe using an I statement? So instead of saying, you really upset me when you say things like this, you would say, it kind of upsets me when you say things the way you do. I would really appreciate it if, you know, we could, if, you know, suggestions could be made in a different way. Do you think that that would have an effect on your relationship with your mom at all?
I think so. I think I could try that.
Because in that way, that she won't get defensive and say, well, I'm just trying to do the best for you. But you'll also get your point across, so the communication would be there. Do we think we could work on that maybe next time? You know, how often do you see your mom?
It's really only every couple months because she lives across the country in Arizona
So
now.
even maybe next time you're on the phone with her and just kind of work on it slowly, different, don't confront her about everything, but take it slowly, and that way you guys can kind of find yourselves on the same platform as opposed to differing ones. Does that sound like something we could do?
Yes,
We'll
definitely.
talk about it in our next session next week.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.